go. Okay, so hi there, it's John from Far East Adventure Travel, and I'm just going to do a quick little overview of Siem Reap, Cambodia, because it is probably going to be on your Southeast Asia tour if you're doing particularly an extensive tour of Southeast Asia, and you're going to do like the 3 or 4 main countries: Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and of course Cambodia. Siem Reap is going to be high on your list, obviously, because the proximity to Angkor Wat ruins, and everybody wants to see Angkor Wat. It's totally worth it. I'm going to talk about that in another broadcast because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that I learned when I was there, and I was there for a few weeks, so I really got a good overview of the place. But Siem Reap is really easy to get to in Cambodia. You can fly directly in. There's an international airport there, and the ride into town is less than a half hour. I can't recall. I think between 15 minutes and a half hour, depending on traffic. And so once you're there, it's a pretty easy place to get around. You can walk for the most part. You cannot rent a motorbike, unfortunately. I don't know if it's the tuk-tuk drivers that have got kind of a monopoly on transportation there. But if you want to use a motorbike, you have to bring it from outside of the city, like in Phnom Penh or someplace else, and drive it in yourself. Unfortunately, they do have, somebody's kind of skirted around that issue and got these electric bikes that they're renting, which is kind of cool, but they're a little bit on the slow side. So if you want to get to places a little bit quicker, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But I found, other than going to the Angkor ruins, which of course I use a tuk-tuk driver for all the time, walking is great. Now, there's 2 sides to Siem Reap I'm going to talk about today, and then I'll kind of end it. But the 2 sides I want to talk about is kind of the party side, the one that's really geared to Westerners. And if you're wanting to party in Siem Reap, you're going to have no problem. There's tons of options. The Pub Street area near Old Market is where you're going to want to be centered because there's tons of variety there. I kind of lean a little bit more towards the not quiet side, not the really dead, older, quiet side, but kind of somewhere in the middle. And I found that the restaurants and bars on the opposite side of the river, say opposite the Old Market, were perfect. They had a really good crowd for the most part in most of the establishments. They had happy hours between 5 and 7 or 8 o'clock, which is great because you get 2 drinks for 1. And it was just a good crowd, not too crazy, but you know, some good places to hang out and get a good environment and not be kind of overwhelmed by the pounding of Pub Street. Now, of course, if you, like I said, if you do like the party scene, you're going to have lots of options there. So I found that getting outside at night, away from the center of town, like the Old Market area, like I said, and Pub Street, it became a little more quiet, a little more traditional. And there's still tons of choices, like lots of restaurants and bars, but you got to stay away from that. And I know I've spoke to many people that didn't like the sort of Pub Street atmosphere because it's a little too westernized. And much of the city is very westernized, just to let you know as well. So you have to kind of get outside of the main area to get a little more authentic feel. Although there's Wats everywhere, pagodas everywhere. Even in the busier parts. So of course that's obviously going to be authentic. But just like I said, just a quick overview. That's what I found, that you know, Siem Reap had 2 sides to it. There's just too much to talk about here to do it in one broadcast. So I just wanted to do a quick little overview, just give you an idea. Siem Reap's probably one of the best traveler spots in the world, of course in Southeast Asia. Reason being is that there's just tons of variety of places to stay and places to eat and places to go out and drink or have a good time. The places to stay, like I said, tons of variety. I stayed in the guest houses, which, you know, can range anywhere from 15 US to 20 US a night for a private room with a private bath. And I stayed in a couple of different places. I found they were great, very clean. And for me, I always look for safety as well. And so very clean, very safe. You don't have to worry about anything being stolen, although you should always lock up your stuff. And that seemed to be the good range, 15 to 20 US in the busy time of year. If you want to go upscale, like go into the mid-range, like the boutiques, have a nice swimming pool, then you're looking at, anywhere from 40 to 100 US. And then if you want five-star hotel, which Siem Reap has, and that's probably what makes it such a great traveler's town, is the variety of places to stay and the amount of inventory. They do have the five-star hotels if you're looking for that type of quality of stay as well. That's all I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to try to do this at the same time every day. I'm broadcasting from Asia, so I am GMT plus 8 hours. So I'm going to try to do this, for a reasonable time for Europe and North America. So I might do this a little bit earlier in the day. So, and if you do have any questions, fire them away. Also, just want to let you know, I do have a weekly video podcast on iTunes. It's called Far East Adventure Travel. Please have a look at it, become a subscriber, download. There's tons of great information in there, lots of stuff to get you inspired to do a trip to, I travel through East Asia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. So all of those places are covered. I just got back from Japan. Like I said, I was in Cambodia and Vietnam for 6 weeks recently. I go to Nepal every year, so I was in Nepal for 6 weeks in November and did some trekking there. So there's tons of information. And like I said, more stuff to sort of get in your mind and get you cranked to do one of these adventures or trips yourself. I'm just putting together a podcast on this really cool gibbon experience I did. I've done one in Laos, which was really cool when you zip line into the tree houses, but the one I just did in Cambodia is you get into the jungle by motorbike, and then you trek into this jungle. You stay in this camp with this really crazy camp with police and military and rangers, and then you hike into the jungle to see the gibbon. And it's one of the only places in the world where there's some families of gibbons that are habituated to humans, so they don't, you can actually get fairly close to them. And it was just a crazy experience. So I'm just putting together a podcast for that, and that should be out later this week. So please go to iTunes. You can subscribe to Far East Adventure Travel, the podcast. I also have a digital magazine called Far East Adventure Travel Magazine that's on the newsstand, and if you have an iOS device, you can download the app and you subscribe for free. So my name's John Saboe, Far East Adventure Travel. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again soon.